it's not only apples and oranges. It's, you know, you're bringing in fruits and vegetables and all sorts of different things. Every sport is so different, and the philosophy behind it, the mental aspect. Some sports are skill. Some sports, you know, just rely on your talent. Some sports have to do with endurance. You know, who's to say that somebody who's super skilled at golf, like a Tiger Woods or a Jack Nicklaus or an Arnold Palmer or someone like that, is any better or worse than somebody who's really great at cardio over long periods of time, like a Lance Armstrong has been, or like a triathlete might be, or an Ironman. You know, they're different skills. They're different applications. There's different numbers of people in these sports. You know, the depth of field, the rules that are guiding that. You know, I was reading this thing about the greatest free climber in the world, and he's doing things that are blowing people's minds, but it's not, you know, it's just something that's sort of known. It's not like a thing you can capture in competition and say, okay, he's the winner, you know. And so I think that's where surfing comes under a lot of criticism, and probably rightfully so, is, you know, how can you determine who's the best surfer at any one time in anything? You know, so that you create these rules over a certain period of time, and you say you go out there and we'll deem who was the best at that time. And you know, it's a sort of opinionated thing. You know, if you have a close heat, some guys think that guy clearly won, some guys think that guy clearly won. You know, at Bell's there's a big debate about how pro surfing's failing and all this stuff. You know, Mick went for carbs and I went for airs, and it was a different style of surfing that day. And you know, I think personally Mick probably had the better flow and variety, and you know, I had the bigger move, or a couple of moves. So you know, it's literally just comes down to an opinion, and it almost shouldn't even be a result. It should just be like, all right, well, let's debate it now, and never even come to an answer. Oh, yeah, I think about Andy almost every day, you know, probably at some point every day still. And you know, I was playing with this kid last couple days over here, so it's hard not to think about him, you know. And those last few years, I was so connected with Andy, either in a friendly way or competitive way, an angry way, a lot of different ways. So much around contests and stuff, it's hard to be in competition and not think about Andy on some level. Plus, we got Chopu coming up. He and I definitely had, not necessarily head-to-head battles there, but we had some battles as far as you know, I would win one, then he would win one there. And there in Pipeline were really like where things came to a head for us. Those were events that we both felt like we needed to get a little bit ahead of the other guy in. Yeah, that was where I surfed my last heat with Andy a couple years ago when he beat me. And that was probably one of the most enjoyable heats we've ever had, because we were kind of talking and laughing and having a good time, and you know, not too worried about the outcome. You know, it was just like, well, whoever's going to get the good waves. It was inconsistent, and we were, you know, it wasn't one of these like, I want to kill this guy. It was just like we were talking and just having a conversation in lineup, and just happened to be getting scored. So. Yeah, my dad, he took me to almost all of my events as a kid. And then, you know, I gave Andy this shirt with a picture of my dad on it. It was the first year Andy won the title. It was the year my dad died. My dad died in April, and Andy won the title in December, I guess. And we had made the shirts with a picture of my dad on there. And Andy and I had gotten a fight. We were in Fiji, and we got in a fight one night. We had a few drinks, and we ended up punching each other and stuff, and going from wanting to kill each other to like crying and hugging it out afterwards. And that was about 4 weeks after my dad died. And so, you know, he didn't know that. He didn't know my father had passed away. And then we talked about it afterwards. And so I felt like we kind of, you know, we also had this sort of like a brotherly, competitive thing. And so anyways, we talked about things with my dad. And for me, you know, maybe for Andy too, but for me it was like kind of a bonding point between Andy and I. You know, so I didn't know what else to give him. So, you know, I know his dad was really important to him, and I didn't really expect him to wear the shirt. It was just like a gesture, I guess, on some level. You know, but that was at the point where things started to become really competitive with us, and I think he probably took it in a funny way, like somehow. But you know, I think ultimately he knew it wasn't strange. It was just like you know, just a gift. Yeah, a guy kind of helped me out with a lot of things in my life, and at one point he said, "Go on the results, you know, go on the results of your actions." And so, you know, when everything's all weighed out and it's all done, what effect did you have on something, you know, positive or negative? How did you help it or hurt it? And you know, so I like to think of that, go on the results with anything.